So hello students, welcome back to your own channel Vedantu Science Olympiad. This is Basavaraj sir, your biology master students. Students, quickly let me know in the chat right now if I am audible and visible to all of you students. Quickly in the chat, all of you. Quickly in the chat, let me know if I am audible and visible to each and every one of you students. Good evening, good evening, good evening students. Good evening all of you, good evening. Now, today's session is going to be the last session of this three-part of your human reproduction. Now, in the first part, we did the male and the female reproductive structures. In the second part, we did the entire gametogenesis, where we discussed about spermatogenesis and oogenesis in the previous class. All of you? Yes? Students, am I audible to all of you? Because I'm in the office today, so I can't really see anything here, students. Am I audible, right? Students, perfect, perfect, perfect. Now. So, in the previous class, we finished spermatogenesis and oogenesis part in the previous class. Beautifully I explained to all of you students, beautifully explained to you. Now in today's class I will be teaching you something called as menstrual cycle and what is fertilization, post fertilization changes, what is the development of embryo, right, development of placenta, and finally the parturition concept. So all of these concepts are set for today's class, students. So students, are you ready, students? All of you ready? So, can I get a fire, students? Can I get a fire emoji in the chat to let me know if you're ready, students? If you're ready, all of you, can I get a fire emoji, students? Can I get a fire emoji in the chat? Now, let's start with the basic concept for today. The first concept for today, students. First concept for today, that is called as menstrual cycle. Now, students, I believe all of you are aware that in female, after puberty, every single month there is something called as the bleeding stage, also called as the periods, which we say. Periods is a concept which happens in the case of females after puberty. Now in today's class, starting topic, I will teach you how does it happen and what are the hormones involved in the entire process. Okay. Now students, what is menstrual cycle, students? Menstrual cycle, right? Menstrual cycle is nothing but cyclic discharge of blood and mucosal tissue from uterus through vagina. That is called as the menstrual cycle. It happens on a monthly basis, right? Monthly basis. Now, students, I want all of you to understand. I will teach you the entire menstrual cycle with the help of this one diagram, right? This one diagram, I will teach you the entire thing. One diagram is enough for me. Okay. Now, before we start this diagram, students, I want all of you to understand there is something called as menarche. Now, what is the meaning of menarche, students? The meaning of menarche is the starting of menstrual cycle, right? The start of the cycle here. Now, this starting will generally happen, students. The starting generally happens at the age of, let's say, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years in the case of female. 12 years, 13 years, 14 years or 15 years maximum, the menstrual cycle starts. Menstrual cycle starts at this age, right? Years of age here. It starts here. Now, students, now that is called as menarche. Now, students, what is the meaning of menopause? Menopause is nothing but the stopping of menstrual cycle. The stop of the menstrual cycle is called as menopause. Okay, students. Now, students, give me a minute. Give me like 10 seconds, all of you. Okay. Now, students, now. Let me teach you, students. Before we start, let me tell you, there are here two events happening simultaneously. This entire event is happening inside the ovaries. Students, do all of you remember ovaries? Ovaries was what? Ovaries was the primary sex organ. I believe all of you remember. So this entire event takes place in the case of ovaries. This entire event takes place in the case of uterus of the female. We say the womb, right? The mother's womb. This is uterus is also called as the womb here, right? Uterus. So both the events are happening एक साथ. मतलब क्या बताए? दोनों एक साथ हो रहे हैं. And here one event is influencing the second event here. This event will influence this event right now. Now, students, all of you need to understand. In the ovarian events, this part is called as what? Follicular phase. Follicular phase. This part here. Follicular phase. Same time down, we have the proliferatory phase. Proliferatory phase. Then students, then this part is called, then we have a common part here, common part. That is called as ovulation. Ovulation is a common stage. Ovulation is a common stage right now. Ovulation is a common stage. Now, ovulation के बाद क्या हो रहा है स्टूडेंट्स? ये जो है ना, this is called as luteal phase, और उसके नीचे this part is called as secretory phase. ये दोनों एक साथ होंगे, ये कॉमन इवेंट, और ये दोनों इवेंट्स एक साथ होंगे. Different location but same time. Now students, all of you need to understand, tell me. Now students, tell me, look at the diagram and tell me. Here in the starting there is something called as pituitary hormones. Initially starting में ना दो हार्मोन्स है सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट, दो हार्मोन्स है. One is called as FSH, one is called as LH. Now students, look at the diagram and tell me which hormone is high in the starting, all of you. Which line is up? Do you think red line is up or blue line is up, students? All of you look here and tell me. All of you look here and tell me which line is on top here. Now can all of you see the FSH is high in the starting, red line is on the top. So students, what is FSH? FSH is nothing but follicular stimulating hormone. So वो follicular stimulate करने में help करेगा वो हार्मोन. ठीक है, तो स्टार्टिंग में क्या बनेगा यहाँ पर? स्टार्टिंग में ना ये FSH ज्यादा रहेगा यहाँ पर. स्टार्टिंग में FSH ज्यादा रहेगा. इसकी वजह से ना, इसकी वजह से there will be development of follicle. We have tertiary follicle here, tertiary follicle, then we have Graafian follicle. Yes or no? We have secondary follicle here. So ये development of follicle होगा. क्यों? क्योंकि स्टार्टिंग में FSH ज्यादा है यहाँ पर, FSH ज्यादा है यहाँ पर, तो ये development of follicle होगा यहाँ पर. Development of follicle होगा because of increase in FSH. Now, once every single month, one ovary will release one egg. Yes or no? Alternate month they will release the egg. Let's say the left ovary is releasing one egg in January. In February, the next ovary, the left side ovary will release the second egg. So alternating month they release the egg. Now, every single month, once there is a dominant follicle called as a mature follicle. Students, once there is a dominant follicle, do we need more follicles after that? Every single month there is only one required. No, only one is required. Do the females require more than that? No. उससे ज्यादा नहीं चाहिए ना, सिर्फ एक ही काफी है. So once we get the dominant follicle, what happens? Can all of you see? There is a decrease in FSH now. Decrease in FSH. Decrease in FSH. क्योंकि dominant follicle मिल गया अभी, और एक follicle की जरूरत नहीं है उसके बाद. तो once that is called as, so this is called as follicular phase. मतलब क्या है? यहां पर development of follicle हो रहा है यहां पर. ठीक है, development of follicle हो रहा है. Increase in FSH, now decrease in FSH. उतना सबको समझ आया स्टूडेंट्स? इतना सबको समझ आया? जल्दी से बताओ स्टूडेंट्स कमेंट सेक्शन में. इतना समझ आया सबको? स्टार्टिंग में FSH ज्यादा रहेगा, उसके बाद कम हो जाएगा. Once we get a dominant follicle, उतना ही कॉन्सेप्ट है यहां पर. Now students, understand. This developing follicle will stimulate the release of estrogen. This developing follicle will stimulate the release of estrogen. Students, can you see? There is a peak in estrogen now. There is a peak in estrogen right here. Peak in estrogen right here. Okay. Now, because of this peak in estrogen, this estrogen will act on the endometrium layer. This estrogen will act on the endometrium layer, and because of that, there is something called as development of endometrium layer. Can you hear students? There is something called as endometrium layer is piling up right now. It is increasing. Can you see? It's increasing. That is called as piling up of endometrium. Or I can also call it proliferatory phase. Proliferation मतलब क्या है? Proliferation का मतलब है बढ़ना, बढ़ रहा है यहां पर. Endometrium layer मोटा होता जा रहा है, देखो मोटा हो रहा है endometrium layer. So that is called as what? That is called as proliferatory phase. और ये दोनों के दोनों phase कहां से होंगे स्टूडेंट्स? From the day 5 to day 14 तक होंगे, almost day 13 तक होंगे. So यहां तक ये पूरा चलेगा, यहां तक ये पूरा चलेगा स्टूडेंट्स. Now what happens students? This is over now. Now I want all of you to understand there is something special on the 14th day, right students? Something special on the 14th day. क्या हो रहा है स्टूडेंट्स? 14th डे को एग्जैक्टली क्या हो रहा है पता है? देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज एलएच सर्ज, है ना? ये दिख रहा है यहां पर, जो ये एलएच हार्मोन है ना, एलएच हार्मोन फुल बढ़ जाएगा, पूरा का पूरा बढ़ जाएगा, ठीक है? दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एलएच सर्ज हो रहा है ना. जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एलएच सर्ज, because of this LH surge, what happens? The Graafian follicle ruptures. Now, once the Graafian follicle ruptures, that is called as ovulation. So, दिख रहा है यहाँ पर? That is called as ovulation. And this ovulation happens on the 14th day. It happens on the 14th day. That is called as LH surge. On the 14th day, ovulation takes place. That is, this Graafian follicle ruptures and this secondary oocyte is released. This secondary oocyte is released right now. देखिए स्टूडेंट, secondary oocyte release हो गया अभी. Now students, what is the next step? ये जो ovulation secondary oocyte release हो गया ना, that it can fuse with the sperm if there is fertilization. If there is no fertilization, the secondary oocyte will not fuse. Now, if the secondary oocyte, your secondary oocyte fuses, what happens then? Implantation, development of embryo, parturition, that is childbirth. ये सारे concepts होंगे which we'll study in today's class. Now, what if there is no fertilization? What if this secondary oocyte is not fertilized by the sperm? तब क्या होगा? समझते हैं स्टूडेंट, समझते हैं. Now, initially what happens? Understand. This ruptured Graafian follicle is there, right? Ruptured remaining part here. This remaining part will convert to something called as corpus luteum. This remaining part will convert to corpus luteum. Now, students, can you see here? In this stage, there is an increase in LH in the starting. Increase in LH. This LH will maintain the corpus luteum. This increase in LH, also called as luteal phase, that's why. This LH will maintain the corpus luteum. This corpus luteum will produce a hormone called as progesterone. दिख रहा है रेड वाला. And this progesterone will maintain the endometrium layer. It will do what? It will maintain the endometrium. Students, समझो इस बात को. यहां पर एंडोमेट्रियम फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है. यहां पर एंडोमेट्रियम फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है. उसके लिए एस्ट्रोजन, बट एंडोमेट्रियम को मेंटेन करने के लिए ना प्रोजेस्टेरॉन की जरूरत है. और ये प्रोजेस्टेरॉन कहां से मिलेगा? दिस प्रोजेस्टेरॉन इज कमिंग फ्रॉम वेयर? फ्रॉम द कॉर्पस लुटियम. एंड दिस कॉर्पस लुटियम इज मेंटेन्ड बाय एलएच. नाउ यहां तक कहानी खत्म नहीं हुई अभी. नाउ लेट्स से फर्टिलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ अभी. Let's say the secondary oocyte is not fertilized at all. तब क्या होगा स्टूडेंट्स? If there is no fertilization, if there is no coitus, if there is no intercourse, if there is the sperm is not reaching inside, तब क्या होगा? समझो स्टूडेंट्स, तब क्या होगा पता है? Initially there is a decrease in LH that time. Initially there is a decrease in LH. उसकी वजह स्टूडेंट्स, if LH is decreasing, who will maintain the students? Who will maintain the corpus luteum then? If LH is decreasing, who will maintain the corpus luteum? No one. So this corpus luteum will degenerate completely. Can you see? Corpus luteum will completely degenerate, also called as regression of corpus luteum. Regression of corpus luteum students. Now, अगर सोचो यहां पर corpus luteum अभी काम नहीं कर रहा, कॉर्पस लुटियम बाहर निकल के चला गया स्टूडेंट्स, ओके ना, बाहर निकल के चला गया कॉर्पस लुटियम. नाउ इफ देयर इज नो कॉर्पस स्टूडेंट्स, इफ देयर इज नो कॉर्पस लुटियम स्टूडेंट्स, इफ देयर इज नो कॉर्पस लुटियम, हु विल प्रोड्यूस द हार्मोन कॉल्ड एज व्हाट स्टूडेंट्स? हु कैन टेल मी स्टूडेंट्स, हु कैन टेल मी व्हिच हार्मोन इज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय कॉर्पस लुटियम स्टूडेंट्स? It is a NEET PYQ. It is a question which is asked in NSEJS also. Which hormone students? Which hormone is produced by the corpus luteum students? Yes, you can. Tell me students. Tell me. Which hormone? Students, एक second रुको students, एक second. Students, एक second. स्टूडेंट्स मेरी आवाज आ रही है? स्टूडेंट्स आवाज आ रही है मेरी? What is the meaning of regression? Regression basically means to completely degenerate or completely get destroyed eventually. That is regression. Okay, and it is not estrogen, it is progesterone. देखो यहाँ पर this corpus luteum will produce a hormone called as progesterone. देखो red line दिख रहा, red line is called as progesterone. So corpus luteum will produce progesterone, not estrogen. Estrogen यहाँ पर इससे आएगा, फॉलिकल से एस्ट्रोजन बनेगा यहाँ पर, ठीक है। और स्टूडेंट्स इस एस्ट्रोजन का काम क्या है? एस्ट्रोजन का काम है टू मेंटेन द एंडोमेट्रियम लेयर। स्टूडेंट देखो इसका प्रोजेस्टेरोन का काम क्या पता है? प्रोजेस्टेरोन विल मेंटेन द एंडोमेट्रियम लेयर। नाउ स्टूडेंट्स अगर सोचो आप, देयर इज अ ड्रॉप इन एलएच, स्टूडेंट्स देयर इज अ ड्रॉप इन एलएच। अगर एलएच ड्रॉप हो गया, कॉर्पस लुटियम डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया, इफ देयर इज नो कॉर्पस लुटियम, कैन आई टेल देयर इज नो progesterone hormone now? Okay, so if there is no hormone, can you see there is a decrease in hormone here, decrease in hormone. If there is a decrease in progesterone, who will maintain the endometrium? Students, tell me, who will maintain the endometrium? No one, obviously no one can maintain the endometrium now. If there is no one to maintain the endometrium layer, right, of what happens? Entire endometrium gets collapsed. दिख रहा है ये पूरा का पूरा endometrium है ना, पूरा का पूरा, this is the endometrium of the uterus. This entire endometrium collapses in the form of what? In the form of blood. In the form of blood, it collapses. It collapses along with the blood. The secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte is also released along with the blood. Also released along with the blood. That is what happens in the menstruation. That is the bleeding stage. In the bleeding stage, the entire endometrium layer, as well as the other secretions and the secondary oocyte is released as such. That is what happens in the case of menstrual cycle, students. Menstrual cycle. Okay, done, students. Now next thing is called as fertilization, students. बहुत easy है, यहाँ से concepts बहुत ही, students. यहाँ से concepts बहुत ही easy है इसके बाद. Now what is fertilization, students? Fertilization is very simple. Let's say sperm or egg fuse हो गए, that is called as fertilization, right? That is sperm plus egg is called as fertilization, and that results in the zygote. That results in the zygote formation. So sperm plus egg will result in the zygote formation. But how does it happen? How does it happen? See, first thing is what? Journey of ovum. The ovum or the secondary oocyte is released from the ovary. It is picked up by fimbriae. Fimbriae is a finger-like structure. All of you remember, students? All of you remember fimbriae, which was part of infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. All three are parts of, students. All of you, students. This is the last lecture. This is the last lecture for this topic. And tell me, this fimbriae, infundibulum, ampulla or isthmus, ये तीनों के तीनों किसके part है, students? What is this entire region called as? What do you call this entire region? Anyone? What do you call this entire region of female reproductive system? Anyone? Students, what do you call this region? That is called as what, students? That is called as oviduct. Yes or no, students? That is called as oviduct. Yes or no? It's called as oviduct. Also remember, oviduct or fallopian tube. Oviduct or fallopian tube. Now यहाँ पर जो embryo निकल के आएगा, embryo will, so not the embryo, the egg will travel upwards. The egg will travel upwards like this. It will travel. Now it will reach a region called as ampulla, region of oviduct. The egg, students in YouTube, you will get 3 classes of mine, 2 classes of mine per week. In the paid batch, I think there are more classes. Paid batch generally is more structured. See, students, if you are a good student, if you can focus, you can clear NEET from YouTube also. It is very simple. From YouTube also you can clear NEET, you can clear JEE, you can clear any exam in the world from YouTube. You can. It all depends on the student's mentality, student's ability to be disciplined, to have that proper curriculum. But you realize, I need a proper structure, I need proper guidance, I need proper teacher who can tell me every single step what I need to do. That will come in paid batch. The only difference is that. Students, you can decide what you want. We have always told, we have openly told us, YouTube has all the resources, not only from us. See, students, at the end of the day, we always think about students. We don't want you have to be our student only. If you think someone else can teach you better, it's always good for go for a better teacher, right? So if you go for any other YouTube channel also, it's good, but you should learn. But you know already, Vedantu is the best. Vedantu has produced the best result ever, right? So you can trust us. That is what we deliver, right? So in the paid batch, the main difference is going to be the mentorship. You will have teachers who can guide you at every single step. The teachers who will tell you what you have to do, not do what you have to do every single step. That is the main difference. Okay, students. So I'm 8th class student. I want to know how. I'll teach you, Ajay. Wait, students. Now, Ajay, समझो इस बात को कि this entire region is called as the oviduct or fallopian tube of the female reproductive tract, female reproductive system. यहाँ पर ये फिम्ब्रिये, ये वाला फिम्ब्रिये है, जो ये जो पार्ट है ना ये वाला, this is called as fimbriae. It's called as fimbriae. This fimbriae and this part is called as infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. Now इस ampulla region पे ना यहां पर सेकेंडरी उसे ट्रैवल करेगा, सेकेंडरी उसे ट्रैवल करेगा. उसके बाद obviously because of the intercourse, sperm are released into the vagina. Sperm are released into vagina now. Okay, sperm are released into vagina right now here. That is called as insemination. Now ये जो sperm है ट्रैवल करेंगे ऊपर. Some of the sperm will go this side, some of the sperm will go this side, because sperm doesn't know which side the egg is, right? RIP for these sperms. Now let's say some sperm will reach the secondary oocyte here in the ampulla region, और ये sperm और ये egg ना, the nucleus will fuse, that will result in the fertilization, students. Now let me tell you here, ये fertilization process है ना बहुत simple नहीं है. This sperm has something called as the cap. Remember, students, याद है आपको the acrosome. These acrosome has a lot of enzymes. Now these enzymes will completely break the different layers of the released egg here, released egg or secondary oocyte to be precise. देखो इस तरह से स्टूडेंट्स, ओवम और सेकेंडरी oocyte यहाँ पर स्पर्म एंट्री करेंगे और ये सारे लेयर्स को ब्रेक करेंगे, ये सारे लेयर्स को ब्रेक करेंगे स्टूडेंट, ब्रेक करेंगे लेयर्स को यहाँ पर इस तरह से. These are multiple reactions happening. There is something called as hyaluronidase which will break the granulosa cells. There is something called as CPE, corona penetrating enzyme, will break the corona radiata layer. Then we have zona lysin or acrosome which will break the zona pellucida. So there are multiple layers broken by different enzymes. All of these enzymes are present where? In the acrosome, the cap-like acrosome, acrosome. उसके अंदर होंगे सारे enzymes. Okay, so you can write this, you can write this down also. Now students, now दिख रहा है यहाँ पर इस तरह से होगा स्टूडेंट, इस तरह से होगा, दिख रहा है यहाँ पर पांच स्पर्म, कोरोना रेडिएटा आगे का लेयर है वो ब्रेक होगा, उसके बाद जोना पेलिसुला ब्रेक होगा, then there is a plasma membrane that will be opened up, then cytoplasm of the secondary oocyte is present inside, और इसके अंदर यहाँ पर जो न्यूक्लियस है यहाँ पर, और इसका न्यूक्लियस, स्पर्म का न्यूक्लियस और इसका न्यूक्लियस जॉइन होगा, that is called as syngamy. Okay, syngamy will happen now. Okay, syngamy will happen now students. After syngamy happens, that will result in the zygote student, that will result in the zygote formation. So the egg from female, sperm from the male, both will fuse to undergo fertilization to produce a zygote. Sperms are haploid, egg is haploid. The meaning of haploid is it has only one set of chromosomes, 23. The zygote is going to be diploid in the students, diploid in nature. Zygote is going to be diploid in nature. और ये zygote आगे जाके एम्ब्रियो बन जाएगा स्टूडेंट, आगे जाके एम्ब्रियो बन जाएगा zygote. उतना ही कॉन्सेप्ट है. Now there is something called as sex determination in the case of humans. स्टूडेंट्स आपने ये सीरियल्स देखे, सीरियल्स स्टूडेंट्स, एक मिनट स्टूडेंट, एक मिनट. Now, students, have you seen this in your what is the difference between sex and gender? Okay, both are actually used as interchangeable concepts. When we say sex of a child, it can also be mean as gender of a gender of a child also. Other sex is the process of reproduction. Reproduction and sex are same thing, right? Now, generally, when we say sex of the child, we also mean the gender of a child. They can also be used as synonyms. Okay. Now, students, आपने देखा है पुराने serials में if there is a girl child in the family, who is blamed? Students, if there is a girl child in the family, who is blamed? Students, who is blamed? Generally, who is blamed, students? They blame the mother, no? Students, don't they blame the mother? But students, let me tell you. Students, let me tell you right now. Students, let me tell you right now itself. Right? Mother can never decide the gender of a child. It is always the father who should decide. Who can decide. Let me teach you why. Let me teach you how, students. Friends, entire syllabus will be covered. Don't worry. Entire syllabus will be covered. Now, students, I want all of you to understand today. Here we have female. Here we have male. Female generally has only one type of sex chromosome, students. Okay. The female has XX, while male has XY. Now, this is called as male heterogamety. It means that the males have two different types of sex chromosomes. Apart from these two sex chromosomes, there are 22 pair of autosomes also. Remember that. Now, students, now let's say here this X chromosome, only X chromosome can come here. Now, let's say from here X chromosome can come, Y chromosome can come. Now, let's say this sperm, there are two sperms here. Let's say if this sperm fuse with this egg, if this sperm and this egg, if they fuse, what happens? XX. Now, this will result in always female again. Now, students, let's say this same egg plus if this sperm fuse together, that will result what? XY condition. That will result in male child. Students, remember always. Students, always remember, right? Always remember, it is always the males which decide the sex of the offspring, not the female, students. Students, I'm covering until class 12th level. I'm not teaching you class 10th. I'm not teaching you class 6th, 7th, 8th. I'm not teaching 11th. I'm teaching class 12th. 12वीं कक्षा की कॉन्सेप्ट में पढ़ा रहा हूं. आई एम टीचिंग द क्लास 12 टॉपिक्स राइट नाउ, हाई लेवल कॉन्सेप्ट्स. तो समझने में थोड़ा डिफिकल्टी होगा, पर अगर समझ जाओगे ना मजा आ जाएगा. दीज आर क्लास 12 टॉपिक्स. ओके नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, now I want all of you to understand what is something called as post fertilization events. फर्टिलाइजेशन के होने के बाद क्या क्या होगा, right? First of all, we have a zygote now. Now, this zygote will start to divide right now by mitosis. Now, those of you do not know what is mitosis, mitosis is called as equational division. मैंने एक पूरा का पूरा वीडियो बनाया चैनल पे, एक बार चेक करो, जहां पर मैंने पूरा का पूरा माइटोसिस के बारे में पढ़ाया मैंने एक बार. Okay, students? Now, first things first, what exactly happens from the zygote, students? एक zygote जो एक सेल है यहां पर, this is one cell, right? This is one cell right now. This one cell will become two cell, two cell become four cell. वैसे होते 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 बहुत सारे सेल्स बन जाएंगे. 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. उस तरह से डिवाइड होके ना we'll get lot of cells. Now here students understand, inside this entire big large structure now, हर एक सेल का नाम क्या पता है? ब्लास्टोमियर कहते हैं हम. हर एक सेल को इसके अंदर हर एक सेल को हम कहते हैं ब्लास्टोमियर्स. सो फाइनल स्टेज के अंदर बहुत सारे ब्लास्टोमियर्स भरे पड़े हैं. यहां पर बहुत सारे ब्लास्टोमियर्स पड़े हैं. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज 2 ब्लास्टोमियर्स, 4 ब्लास्टोमियर्स. ठीक है स्टूडेंट्स, और एक दिखाता हूं, समझो स्टूडेंट्स, और एक दिखाता हूं. देखो यहां पर एग, जाइगोट, 2 सेल, 4 सेल. नाउ स्टूडेंट्स understand, 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell. Now if there are 8 cells or 16 cell stage, these two stage have special name. They are also called as morula. Students, So one zygote, one cell, day 1, day 2, 2 cells, day 3 to 4, 4 cells, 4 day, 8 cells, 16 cells. After this, generally it keeps on dividing, but eventually it becomes something called as early blastocyst, late blastocyst. So 8 to 16 stages called as what, students? 8 to 16 stages called as morula. These two are called as morula. If this entire cell has 8 nuclei or 16 nuclei, it is called as morula stage. इसके बाद आता है ब्लास्टोसिस्ट स्टूडेंट, ब्लास्टोसिस्ट। देखो स्टूडेंट इस तरह दिखेगा, देखो यहां पर है मोरुला स्टूडेंट, यहां पर है मोरुला। सेल्स will go to the periphery, corner. Remaining cells will go to one corner here. इस तरह से स्टूडेंट, इस तरह से देखो, इस तरह से। In the blastocyst, many cells go to the corner. Here. Now this corner part is called as what? Trophoblast layer. Corner part is called as what? Trophoblast layer. जो रिमेनिंग अंदर के सेल्स थे ना, ब्लास्टोमियर्स, वो सारे के सारे एक कॉर्नर में आ जाएंगे, ऐसे कॉर्नर में। दिस इज कॉल्ड एज इनर सेल मास। और ये जो इनर सेल मास है ना, आगे जाके एम्ब्रियो बन जाएगा, और ये जो ट्रोफोब्लास्ट है ना, बाहर का ट्रोफोब्लास्ट, वो आगे जाके प्लासेंटा बन जाएगा स्टूडेंट, प्लासेंटा में बन जाएगा। So that is the entire development of embryo, development of embryo from 2 cell to 4 cell to 16 cell to blastocyst formation, ठीक है, to becoming blastocyst। इस तरह से देखो फ्रेंड्स, 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16 cell, early blastocyst, late blastocyst, ये blastocyst बन जाएगा। Now students, this blastocyst right now, right, it can undergo a process called as implantation. Now this is a uterine wall, this is the endometrium, this right here students is endometrium। एक मिनट स्टूडेंट दिखाता हूं, इधर ना, यहाँ पर this is called as endometrium है ना, endometrium। Now this blastocyst here undergoes implantation। मतलब ये जो blastocyst है ना, ये जो blastocyst बन के आया ना, ये वाला, ये जाके एंडोमेट्रियम पे चिपक जाएगा और उसके अंदर घुस जाएगा, ऐसे ही एंडोमेट्रियम लेयर के अंदर घुस जाएगा ये। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इम्प्लांटेशन। इस तरह दिख रहा होगा, यहाँ पर भी, यहाँ पर इसके अंदर घुस जाएगा, इसके अंदर की तरफ चले जाएगा, अंदर की तरफ चले जाएगा, घुस के ना अंदर की तरफ चले जाएगा। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इम्प्लांटेशन। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? इम्प्लांटेशन। स्टूडेंट्स, आफ्टर अटैचमेंट ऑफ ब्लास्टोसिस्ट द यूट्रीन सेल्स डिवाइड रैपिडली। ये जो बाहर के सेल्स है ना, जल्दी जल्दी डिवाइड करेंगे एंड कवर द ब्लास्टोसिस्ट। एज अ रिजल्ट द ब्लास्टोसिस्ट बिकम्स एम्बेडेड इन द एंडोमेट्रियम यूट्रस। सो ये जो ब्लास्टोसिस्ट है ना, एंडोमेट्रियम के अंदर घुस जाएगा ऐसे ही। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? इम्प्लांटेशन। दैट इज कॉल्ड एज इम्प्लांटेशन। इस तरह से घुस जाएगा। ये ट्रोफोब्लास्ट, इनर सेल मास अंदर का, ये ब्लास्टोसिस्ट है, अंदर की तरफ घुस जाएगा यहां पर। इम्प्लांटेशन स्टूडेंट्स। नाउ इम्प्लांटेशन होने के बाद क्या होगा स्टूडेंट्स? इम्प्लांटेशन होने के बाद क्या होगा? इम्प्लांटेशन होने के बाद बहुत सारे फिंगर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर निकल के बाहर आएंगे, से बहुत सारे आएंगे, बहुत सारे निकल के आएंगे स्टूडेंट्स। नाउ दीज आर कॉल्ड एज कोरियोनिक विल। दिख रहा है यहां पर, ये है ब्लास्टोसिस्ट और यहां पर दिख रहा है ये वाला, ये पार्ट, फिंगर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? कोरियोनिक विल्लाई। Okay students, chorionic villi. Now after implantation finger like projection appear on the trophoblast, trophoblast के ऊपर की तरफ, called as chorionic villi. Okay, chorionic villi students. Now this chorionic villi is completely surrounded by maternal blood vessels and uterine tissue. So it is surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. और students यहां पर ना, ये chorionic villi plus maternal tissue plus the blood here, everything will undergo interdigitation। मतलब क्या है? पूरा को पूरा मिल जाएंगे सारे के सारे। कोरियोनिक विल्लाई, यूट्रिन टिश्यू, मैटरनल ब्लड, ये तीनों की तीनों घुस जाएंगे, एक से मिल जाएंगे। Now that is the result, from that placenta comes out। See this? The chorionic villi and uterine tissue becomes interdigitated with each other and jointly form a structure called and functional unit between the developing embryo and the developing embryo and the maternal blood called as placenta. So ये तीनों की तीनों मिलके ना placenta बना देंगे, placenta. And this placenta is very important students. क्यों पता है? Let's say बेबी को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए, placenta के थ्रू आएगा ऑक्सीजन बेबी को. Let's say बेबी को CO2 निकालना है बाहर, तो इस placenta के थ्रू ही बाहर निकलेगा. बेबी को ऑक्सीजन, बेबी को न्यूट्रिशन चाहिए, सारा न्यूट्रिशन प्लासेंटा की तरफ से ही आएगा. लेट्स से स्टूडेंट्स, सबसे बड़ा रोल क्या पता है? सबसे बड़ा रोल प्लासेंटा का है टू प्रोड्यूस हार्मोन्स. टू प्रोड्यूस हार्मोन स्टूडेंट्स. ये नॉर्मल है. मदर, प्लासेंटा, फीटस, ये बेबी है, छोटा बेबी. दिस इज द बेबी है. ओके, इन दोनों के बीच में प्लासेंटा आएगा. अभी न्यूट्रिशन जाएगा अंदर, ऑक्सीजन जाएगा अंदर, वेस्ट निकल के बाहर आएगा बाहर. सो प्लासेंटा क्या करेगा? बेसिकली ब्रोकर बन गया. अभी प्लासेंटा बीच में ब्रोकर बन गया. ब्रोकर है यहां पर. नाउ द मेन फंक्शन इज द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ हार्मोन्स. प्लासेंटा विल प्रोड्यूस लॉट ऑफ हार्मोन्स एंड दीस हार्मोन्स आर प्रोड्यूस्ड ओनली ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी. दिस HCG, HPL, ये दो हार्मोन्स है ना, दूसरे टाइम पे निकलेंगे नहीं फीमेल से. ये दोनों हार्मोन्स सिर्फ प्रेगनेंसी के टाइम पे मिलेंगे फीमेल्स के अंदर. कॉल्ड एज ह्यूमन कोरियोनिक गोनाडोट्रोपिन, ह्यूमन प्लासेंटल लैक्टोजन. These two are the hormones produced only during the pregnancy, students. Then there is relaxin also. Relaxin is produced by the ovaries also in the later stages. Estrogen, progesterone तो produce होते रहते हैं फीमेल के अंदर normally. Students. Now what happens? Students, understand. Next is called as gastrulation. ये जो इनर सेल मास है ना, इनर सेल मास, वो इनर सेल मास अभी डिवाइड करेगा स्टूडेंट्स. इनर सेल मास डिवाइड करेगा. इनर सेल मास देखो डिवाइड करेगा स्टूडेंट्स. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass, the embryo differentiates into outer layer called as ectoderm, inner layer called as endoderm, and middle layer called as mesoderm called as mesoderm. So mesoderm, ectoderm, endoderm में ना inner cell mass डिवाइड करेगा. और यहां पर हर एक लेयर ना दूसरा कोई ऑर्गन बनाएगा. भी बहुत सारे ऑर्गन्स बनेंगे यहां पर, ऑर्गन्स बनेंगे स्टूडेंट्स इस तरह से. ये जो एंडोडर्म है ना, एंडोडर्म अंदर का, he'll make digestive, liver, pancreas, lungs. Mesoderm will make circulatory system, lungs, skeletal system, muscular system. Ectoderm will make hair, nail, skin, nervous tissue. So हर एक लेयर अभी दूसरा ऑर्गन बनाता जाएगा. क्रेज स्टूडेंट, ये जो है इनर सेल मास, बाहर का ट्रोफोब्लास्ट था वो प्लासेंटा बन गया. जो अंदर का इनर सेल मास है ना, वो आगे जाके इस तरह बनेगा. Now let me teach you what happens every single month, students. What happens now every single month in the case of female, right? First trimester मतलब माने पहला मंथ 4 वीक के अंदर there is something called as what, students? Something called as baby is about strawberry size seed here. एक मंथ प्रेगनेंसी के सिर्फ एक ही मंथ में ना heart is formed. So you can listen to the baby's heartbeat using the machines in just 1 month. So एक ही मंथ के अंदर हार्टबीट सुनाया देगा स्टूडेंट्स, हार्टबीट सुनाया देगा बेबी का स्टूडेंट्स. और सेकेंड मंथ के अंदर लिम्स एंड डिजिट्स. थर्ड मंथ के अंदर स्टूडेंट्स प्लासेंटा बिकम्स फुली फंक्शनल एंड टेक्स ओवर द हार्मोन प्रोडक्शन. अभी भी बताया मैंने आपको स्टूडेंट्स, है ना, प्लासेंटा काम करेगा. उसके बाद स्टूडेंट्स फोर्थ मंथ क्या होगा स्टूडेंट्स? फोर्थ मंथ देखो, फोर्थ मंथ क्या हो रहा है? फोर्थ मंथ के अंदर एबिलिटी टू टेस्ट फूड, एबिलिटी टू डेवलप, बातें सुनेगा बेबी 4 मंथ्स के बाद. 5 मंथ्स के बाद स्टूडेंट्स फर्स्ट मूवमेंट इज सीन. स्टूडेंट्स बताते हैं ना, बेबी लात मार रहा है पेट के अंदर, बेबी पेट के अंदर लात मार रहा है कभी आफ्टर 5 मंथ्स. तो 5th मंथ फर्स्ट मूवमेंट इज सीन. अपीयरेंस हेयर ऑन हेड, प्लासेंटा इज फुली डेवलप्ड राइट नाउ. 6th मंथ आईलिड सेपरेशन, बॉडी इज कवर्ड बाय फाइन हेयर, एंटायर बॉडी के अंदर बाहर ये आ गया, बाल आ गया है बेबी के बाहर. या कहां पर? 6 मंथ्स के बाद, 6 मंथ के बाद स्टूडेंट्स, हाफ ईयर. 7 months frequency of eye movement. 8 month sleep wake cycle regulation. 9 months baby is ready to come out. 9 months के अंदर baby is fully ready for parturition. Parturition is also called as childbirth students. ये देखो इस तरह से स्टूडेंट बेबी होगा, इस तरह से डेवलप होगा. दिस इज योर लिम्स एंड डिजिट्स. देख रहे हो, इसका यहाँ पर पेयर निकल के आ रहा है, पेयर निकल के आ रहा है यहाँ पर पेयर. इस तरह से बेबी दिखेगा. दिस इज हार्ट इज फॉर्म्ड फर्स्ट मंथ के अंदर हार्ट निकल के आएगा फर्स्ट ही मंथ के अंदर. इस तरह से बेबी डेवलप हो रहा है. देखो स्टूडेंट्स, ऑर्गन्स फॉर्म हो रहे हैं उसके अंदर. फिफ्थ मंथ में मूवमेंट स्टार्ट होगा. ये बेबी लात मारेगा, यहाँ से लात मारेगा, फुटबॉल किक मारेगा एक. आईलिड सेपरेशन 24 वीक्स. देखो दिख रहा है, यहाँ पे दिख रहा है स्टूडेंट्स, नाक और एक मुंह दिख रहा है यहाँ पर. Then 9 months baby is 9 months baby is ready to come out. That is called as parturition, students. Parturition is called as what? Parturition is called as childbirth. Childbirth is called as parturition, students. Parturition. Now students, parturition ऐसे नहीं होगा, बहुत ही complex process है भी. That is, there is something called as the signal for parturition. The first signals for parturition, I repeat students, the first ever signal for parturition कहां से आता है स्टूडेंट, कहां से आता है? The first signal for parturition students comes from the baby and the placenta. So baby बताएगा कि मैं बाहर निकल के रेडी हूं, मैं निकलने के लिए रेडी हूं, I want to come out. So with the help of the first signal, it will cause a contraction. That is called as fetal ejection reflex. It is called as what students? Fetal ejection reflex. इस रिफ्लेक्स की वजह से ना, इस रिफ्लेक्स की वजह से फ्रॉम द मैटरनल पिट्यूटरी ऑफ द मदर एक हार्मोन रिलीज होगा. तो किसी को पता है कौन सा हार्मोन? बिकॉज ऑफ द फीटल एजेक्शन रिफ्लेक्स, बिकॉज ऑफ द फीटल एजेक्शन रिफ्लेक्स मदर के पिट्यूटरी से ना एक हार्मोन रिलीज होगा कॉल्ड एज ऑक्सीटोसिन. जब ये हार्मोन रिलीज होगा ना मदर से, पिट्यूटरी से, it will cause more contraction. Now as soon as there is more contraction, more hormone is released, more contraction. So hote there is enough of contraction where the child can slip out of the vagina. इस तरह से निकलेगा. यह placenta. This is called as umbilical cord. इस तरह से बेबी निकल के आ जाएगा बाहर. इस तरह से बेबी निकल, ये placenta पीछे दिख रहा है, placenta पीछे की तरफ है placenta. The baby is born, student. Baby is born. Now, students, when the baby is born, in the starting stages, doctors always recommend the mother's milk. Why? Because students, mother's milk in the starting days is called as colostrum, and the starting milk is very rich in a lot of antibodies which the small child needs. अगर वो छोटा बच्चा निकल के आया ना बाहर, अभी उसका birth हुआ है, when it is born, it is exposed to a lot of things in the environment. तो उसको डिसीज आ जाएगा. So to protect the baby, because the baby doesn't have any immunity right now, to protect the baby, the mother's milk is the best. Mother's milk is the best for that. Okay, so the mammary glands produce milk towards the end of the pregnancy. Colostrum is the milk produced in the initial days of lactation. It is much more yellowish in color, student. It is much more yellowish in color, starting milk. That is called as lactation, students. It is rich in IgG and IgA, both. IgG and IgA, students. IgG. Students, यहाँ पर दो तरह के हार्मोन्स हैं. Prolactin will help in milk production. Oxytocin will help in milk release. So इसको याद रखो स्टूडेंट, इसको याद रखो स्टूडेंट. Prolactin and oxytocin. स्टूडेंट्स. उससे हमारा क्लास खत्म हो गया स्टूडेंट. वहां पर हमारा आज का क्लास खत्म हो गया. Students, I know many of you have a lot of doubts. If you have any doubts, students, let me know in the comment section. Next chapter, I'm thinking we'll start with animal kingdom in the next class. जब next Wednesday we'll do animal kingdom. Okay, students. So thank you so much, students. Bye bye, all of you. Take care, and I will see you in the next class, students. Bye bye. Until then, keep studying, students. Any doubt, ask me in the comment section. I will reply to it. Notes will be given to you in the Telegram channel. Okay, students. Bye bye, all of you, students. Bye bye. Bye bye, students. Take care, all of you.